Before we begin, I want to welcome you to our channel. For those who are new here, our mission is to share genuine Christian testimonies from around the world, spreading the powerful message of God's kingdom. We focus on stories about Jesus, the afterlife, heaven and hell, and other Bible-related topics, bringing them to you in engaging story form twice or 3 times a week. We invite you to become a member of this family by subscribing to our channel. God bless you as you do so. Today's experience was sent to us by a sister. She died and met with Jesus. There is a message Jesus gave her to share with the world. Everyone needs to hear this message to know the next steps to life. Kindly stay to the end to fully understand her experience. Hello, my name is Bridget. I had always known Jesus. Growing up, I learned the scriptures, went to church every Sunday, and knew the truth. But somehow, along the way, the allure of the world started to pull me in. I chased after success, wealth, and the thrill of nightlife. I felt invincible, caught up in the glamour, ignoring the quiet voice within that called me to something greater. My faith was buried under layers of busyness, forgotten in the shadow of my ambitions. Then, the warning signs began. Friends who once enjoyed the same lifestyle started talking about change, about faith. Others faced sudden hardships that forced them to rethink everything. Deep down, I felt an unsettling restlessness, a growing emptiness. But I brushed it off. I was too busy living my life, too far down the road of success to turn back. That day began like any other. I had a full schedule, meetings to attend, a social event to close off the night. But as the hours passed, I felt an intense, strange pressure in my chest, followed by a shortness of breath that left me weak and frightened. I struggled to stay calm, convinced it would pass. But then, as I was reaching out for help, everything faded into darkness. My heart had stopped. Just like that, my earthly life came to an abrupt end. Suddenly, I felt myself floating, as if I were weightless, leaving my body behind. I was pulled toward a brilliant light that seemed to beckon me forward. The fear and worry I'd felt just moments before were replaced by a sense of peace I'd never known. I was leaving the world behind, crossing into a new realm. It was a journey like slipping into a deep and beautiful dream. As I stepped into this new realm, I was immediately enveloped by a beauty so extraordinary, words could never capture it. The landscape seemed to stretch on forever, vibrant and alive. I stood upon rolling fields of grass that swayed softly in a gentle, whispering breeze. Each blade seemed to glow with a life of its own, a deep, lush green that held a depth and richness unlike anything I had seen on earth. It was as if each color here was painted with a divine brush, more vivid, more brilliant, more real than anything I'd ever known. Above me, the sky was a boundless expanse of light and warmth, not the fierce brilliance of the sun but a gentler, diffused light that wrapped around me like a loving embrace. The air was fresh and filled with a fragrance I couldn't quite place, like a blend of the sweetest flowers and the crispness of dawn, yet entirely unique. Every breath I took filled me with a profound sense of calm and joy, as though I was inhaling love itself. It was more than just the sights and sounds, more than the beauty surrounding me. It was a feeling that seemed to flow into my very being, touching every part of me that had ever felt weary or broken. All the sorrow, all the mistakes, every burden I had carried in my life suddenly felt insignificant, washed away in a tide of peace that settled deeply within me. I felt lighter, free from the weight of regret and pain that I hadn't even realized I was holding. As I stood there, I felt an indescribable warmth settle over me, as if invisible arms were gently wrapping around my shoulders. The love I felt in that moment was unlike anything I had ever known. a love that didn't demand or question but simply welcomed me completely. It felt familiar, as though I'd somehow always known this place, always longed for it without knowing what I was missing. There was a quiet certainty within me now, a knowledge that this was home, a place where every longing would be fulfilled, where peace and joy weren't fleeting emotions but the very essence of existence. In this moment, everything that had ever mattered in my earthly life faded away. I was whole, cherished, and completely at ease. And as I breathed in the beauty of this realm, I understood something profound. This wasn't just a place. It was love itself, love so complete, so boundless, that it enveloped me, filling every hollow corner of my soul. For the first time, I truly knew what it meant to be at peace, to belong fully and unconditionally. In this place, I was finally home. In that moment, as I stood there in awe, I felt a presence unlike anything I'd ever known. There, before me, was Jesus. His figure seemed to radiate a soft, warm glow, a light that wasn't blinding but instead wrapped around me with an almost tangible gentleness. It was as if the very air surrounding him was infused with love, compassion, and an endless peace that settled over me like a soft blanket, soothing every hidden wound and ache within me. I was overcome. My soul felt lighter, free from the burdens I hadn't realized I'd been carrying for so long. Every memory, every regret, every wrong choice I had made seemed to lose its sting as I gazed upon him. I sensed in him a love so pure, so profound, that even my deepest shame couldn't survive in its warmth. His love seemed to flow over me like a river, washing away the shadows of my past and leaving me feeling whole, complete in a way I never knew I needed. I felt myself surrendering completely, allowing his presence to fill every broken part of me. Tears streamed down my face, and I couldn't contain the overwhelming sense of gratitude and longing that filled my heart. Everything I had been searching for, every desire, every question, all of it faded in his presence. There was a clarity here, a feeling that I had finally come home. And more than anything, I wanted to remain in this place forever, right here with him, in this perfect peace. In the depths of my soul, I expressed my longing to stay. This place, this love, I wanted to be part of it always. There was no more striving, no more fear, only a profound sense of belonging. I didn't want to leave. For the first time, I felt as if I had found the missing piece, the answer to all that I had been yearning for without realizing it. As he looked at me, there was a depth in his gaze that seemed to pierce through to my very soul, filling me with a love so complete and so tender that it brought tears to my eyes. He shook his head, gently but firmly, as if he knew my heart's longing to stay here forever. A sadness settled over me, knowing already what his answer would be. With infinite kindness and patience, he told me that my journey wasn't yet over. His voice held a melody of peace and purpose, a tone so comforting that it softened the ache in my heart. I still had something important to do, a mission to fulfill, a purpose that could not be completed if I stayed here, in this realm of perfect love and tranquility. In that moment, a pang of sadness swept over me. The thought of returning, of leaving this place where I felt so at peace, so whole, was almost unbearable. To leave his presence, to return to the trials and struggles of earthly life, felt like a painful sacrifice. But as he spoke, I could feel the strength of his love, a love that seemed to fill me with a renewed sense of courage and resolve. He wanted me to go back and tell them, to reach those still caught up in the world, to bring them this hope, this promise of a glorious end for all who come to him. He revealed to me the weight of this mission, to encourage people to turn away from sin, to turn their hearts toward him, to show them the way to experience the peace and joy that I had just felt in his presence. In that moment, it became clear. I was to return, not for my own sake, but for the sake of those who still needed to know this love, this forgiveness, this truth. I understood that I was being sent back to be a vessel, to share the light and love I had encountered here, to offer a glimpse of the hope that awaited them. A deep resolve filled me. No matter how much I longed to stay, no matter how hard it felt to leave, I knew I would go back. I would do anything he asked of me, knowing that one day I would return to this place. And with that, I surrendered my heart to his will, ready to carry his message, to be his witness in a world that needed him more than it knew. I felt a pull, like a tide drawing me away from the shore. Slowly, reluctantly, I left that realm, feeling the warmth and light fading. In an instant, I found myself back in my body, lying in a hospital bed, surrounded by doctors and machines. My heart was beating again, and I was alive. I blinked, tears filling my eyes as I realized I had been given a second chance. A chance to share his message with a world so desperately in need of hope and truth. To my fellow Christians, I want to share this truth that touched my soul deeply. In this life, it's easy to become distracted by the demands, desires, and fleeting pleasures of the world. But let us remember that we are called to a higher purpose, one that reaches beyond the temporary and into the eternal. We are called to live for Christ, to reflect His love and grace, and to draw closer to Him in all we do. Each day, let us seek to know Him more intimately and follow Him more faithfully. God has given us His Word, a light that guides our path, and His Spirit to empower us to live in righteousness. We must avoid the lure of a lifestyle that leads us away from His presence, one that dulls our faith or causes us to compromise. The enemy would love nothing more than for us to grow lukewarm, to become indifferent to the faith that saved us. But Christ calls us to live boldly, to shine His light in the world, and to turn away from anything that would separate us from Him. Let's love God with all our heart, soul, and mind. Let's be faithful in prayer, diligent in studying His Word, and committed to turning away from sin. Let's keep our eyes fixed on the hope of eternal life, the glorious promise that awaits us. This life is a journey, but the end is beyond anything we could imagine. Hold on to His promises, stay rooted in His love, and let us press on, for the end will be glorious for those who remain faithful. All right, friends. This brings us to the end of today's experience. Kindly like and share this video with your friends and families. Kindly subscribe to our channel and turn on your notification bell icon to be the first to get updated anytime we upload a new experience sent to us. Remain blessed.